Hello and welcome to another Form Affinity video. Today we're going to discuss Maya to Blender 2.8 Part 2. So setting up Blender to behave like Maya as far as navigation goes. So we'll have your tumble or rotate, pan, and zoom behave like Maya. We'll prep our configuration to adjust for any common key conflicts. Next, we'll tackle the move, rotate, and scale widgets and assign the Q, W, E, and R keys to those. And then we'll tackle the focus and isolate select, or how it's called in Blender, local view. And then last, we'll discuss possible future videos and closing thoughts. So if you haven't already, go ahead and grab the beta. It's under builder.blender.org under download, and you want the red one for whatever your operating system is. I believe the green one is still 2.79. So in Blender, you should, once you get it, you should have this splash screen. So in Maya, we had for our navigation, we hold down Alt and left mouse to rotate, hold down Alt and middle mouse button for pan, and then the right mouse button for zoom. So I'll show you guys how to set those up. So we go to Edit, Preferences. So it'll probably look like this when you first open it. You just want to go over here to Input. And then if it's not checked already, go ahead and emulate 3-button mouse. Maya tends to use that middle mouse button for whether it's an actual middle mouse or the scroll wheel that pushes down and behaves like a middle mouse. So we want that. And then go ahead and go to, I think it's under 3D View, and then 3D View Global. So to start, we have so rotate. It should be the ones that say mouse rather than keyboard or timer. So rotate view. I believe it's the second one here. So we want that to be Alt. Yep, that works. So I'm holding down Alt and left mouse button, just like how Maya does it. Oh, another thing to mention is under Preferences, make sure you're on Select Width is set to the left rather than right. I believe old school Blender was set to right for selection, and as a Maya user, of course, you're going to be using left. So back under 3D View, 3D View Global, we want our pan, which should be the first one in the list, I believe. Let's try it. So rather than Shift middle mouse, we want to uncheck the Shift and set it to Alt. So Alt middle mouse button is how it's set in Maya. So I'm going to go ahead and try that. So yeah, that's panning the view. And then lastly is our zoom. So I believe that is the first zoom as well. So expand that, and instead of control middle, we'll set it to right, uncheck control, so right mouse. Yep, and that works for us. So that brings us to Maya's equivalent for navigation. Your basic panning, zooming, and rotating around your scene. And make sure you go ahead and save preferences if you like that. The other thing I wanted to mention is I also have a workaround under Form Affinity on Gumroad. There's My Alt for Blender, which basically eliminates the holding down of Alt. Allows you just to tap Alt once and release, and then you're in your rotate. So I have that here, for instance. I'm going to go ahead and open that. So I just touched and release Alt and it's active. So I have another video on that if you're interested, which is My Alt for Blender. So check that out. It really improves ergonomics, and it's free on Gumroad. So yeah. Next we have our left side icons to adjust. So I'll do a quick recap on those. Quick side note, guys, under 3D View Global, we discussed this in the previous video on this topic, but you want to go ahead and have rotate and resize unchecked. Blender, there's a keyboard conflict, so you want, because Blender originally has R set to rotate and S set to resize or scale. So go ahead and uncheck those. And then if you're getting a call menu popping up, or a pop-up window under the W key when that's pressed, you want to go to object mode. I believe it's under object mode global. And okay, so here it is, W. Go ahead and just uncheck that. See, if I turn it on, it brings up this guy, which we don't want. So if, for instance, for whatever reason you do want this, you can just leave it checked, but set it to something else other than W. So I'm just going to leave it unchecked. When we're in Maya, we have QWER for the pointer tool, translate, rotate, and scale. So we want those set to these guys here. So you just right click, assign shortcut, hover over, and for instance that pointer tool we're going to set to Q. And then when I hover over it again, you can see that it says shortcut Q. And then we have, here's the move tool, rotate and scale. So again, instead of assign, we'll do change shortcut, because it looks like it's set to, actually let's see what that is set to. Hover over W. I might have already set that. So anyways, yeah, set that to W. There we go. Right click, change shortcut. Yeah, I already set these. E, okay. And R. Change shortcut, R. So new to Blender is this whole shift spacebar W thing happening. So for instance, the rotate works, scale works, but when you hit W, it goes back up to here rather than going to our move. So there's a conflict there. So we'll go to Edit, Preferences, and figure out what that is. Selection box. I believe it's select. So so back under input, we'll type in select. So right, this could take a while. Another option is to go, instead of name, go to Keybinding and just type in W. And then this is our 3D view. So it's probably this set tool by name, W. So just uncheck that for now. So yeah, that fixes it. And that's what we want. And then if for whatever reason you want that feature where it's toggling up here, you can, assign a new shortcut. I don't need it. I can just hold down and scroll through this. I want it to be saved on selection box. So yeah, that's how you do that. All right, guys. So now when you're go to edit mode, rather than object mode, edit mode. When you hit the, let's say you're on one of these widgets, when you hit the Q key, you'll notice a quick favorites pops up, which doesn't happen in object mode. So to fix that, first go to Preferences. Let me get that to come up. And then under Keybinding, search for Q. And you're going to want to uncheck Call Menu. Save. And then you'll notice when you hit Q, a new little select border at the bottom comes up. So what that means is we just need to set this in the edit mode for this guy here. So assign shortcut, hover over, hit Q. And now it should work. So you just want to make sure that you set those, because we had set it in object mode, but you also need to set it in edit mode. Otherwise it won't work there. Cool. All right, so next we want to do focus and isolate select. So focus to an object in Maya is the F key. So in Blender, if we go to the input editor and go to search under Keybinding and hit F, scroll down and you'll see mesh. So the F key makes or creates an edge and face. So you can set this to something else. What I usually have it set to is G. So I'm going to go ahead and search for G. And you'll see that, excuse me, G is set to 3D view move. So if that's on, just uncheck it. And then go back to F. Scroll down to mesh, and then set this to G. Now when I search for G again, you'll see that make edge is set to G. Make edge / face. So now we want to go to 3D view global, scroll all the way to the bottom, add new, and then pop that down. And you're going to want to put in this text, which is view 3D.view _ selected. And go ahead and hit enter there. So that's your view selected, and change the hotkey from A to F. So now with those things set up, if I hit F, it zooms on the object. The other thing is, okay, so for instance, modeling, if we go to faces, select a face, delete it, and then to create a face, now you'll notice you'll have to hit G instead of F to get that face to be created once again. So yeah, I use G. You can use whatever you like. You could also, instead of using F to focus, you could use another hotkey, but that's what Maya is set to, the F key. So isolate selection is back now in Blender 2.8. So that's called local view. Go ahead and change it to name. So local view. So standard in Blender is the /. So I'll show you what that does. If I create a duplicate of this box and hit that /, it does both. It zooms in on selection, but it also isolates selects. So if I search, currently it's Shift + L. I think there was a time that it was Control +1. I always set it to Alt E. That's what I like. But you can just adjust that there, but just know that you'll be searching for local view. And so for instance, I'm going to change it to Alt E. But before I do that, I want to see if there's any conflicts. So keybinding, Alt E. And whenever you do this, you definitely want to make sure that you look in for mesh and object, because that's where you're going to be working a lot. If there was, in the grease pencil, there's not, but if there was, you might want to consider that as well for any conflicts. If you're using grease pencil a lot, you can see there's one in the pose section. So just be aware of where you're using Blender the most, and adjust for that. So call menu, Alt E. I want to see where that is or what that does. So if I go to modeling, edit mode, Alt E, it's extrude. Brings up an extrude. So let's see. So I'm going to have extrude set differently. So I'm just going to uncheck that. I like to have my extrude behave the way that Maya does. So where is it? There it is. Uncheck. Okay, and now back to name, local view, aka isolate select. Change it to E with the Alt, so Alt E. And it's working. Cool. Alright guys, that wraps up this video. I will put in a link probably to my Gumroad for this key configuration so that you guys can just have basically what I've got going on, in case you missed anything. And in a future video, I may tackle, if anyone's interested, I may tackle Extrude. So the way that I do it is similar to Maya, where you can just, you have your little widget pop out and you can adjust. And I usually set that to Control E. Another thing that I might tackle is, you notice, so for the pointer box select, you can deselect by dragging, and I kind of like that, but you can't do that with your other widgets. You notice if you grab and drag outside of the box, it moves it or rotates, etc. You can click to deselect, but sometimes you got a big scene, you're moving fast, whatever, and it can become troublesome to have that feature when you're using the widgets. So if that's something you're interested in, let me know. And yeah, check out the Gumroad stuff. It's all free. And thanks for swinging by.